Ladies, what is the most obvious hint you've dropped that went unnoticed by a guy? My current boyfriend and I started out in this weird friends that flirt stage. I was trying to find a way to get him to make a move. One very hot evening in the middle of August, we were sitting in his backyard with a few of our friends drinking beer. I sat on the same lawn chair as him, kind of wiggled in and said, "I'm cold." He left me alone in the chair and proceeded to build a giant fire. It took like an hour. When he was finished making the fire, he sat back down in a different chair. Story number 2. I know you'll probably hear this a lot, but right on. Fair warning, before I asked out my girlfriend, I needed 1. A mutual friend's encouragement, which honestly I wrote off as his misinterpretation. 2. A night where people were awkwardly joking about the two of us dating and she said, "I would." To my face. And 3, a note written on a paper crane that just said, "Just ask." Only after all 3 things occurred did I fully believe that she might be into me, even just a little bit. Low self-esteem kind of goofs men up. It is entirely possible that "let's have sex" will fail. I suggest adding on "and I'm serious" if that doesn't work as you expect. Story number 3. I was living with my then boyfriend a few years ago, feeling a little bit flirtatious. I suggested we could take a shower together, to save water, wink wink. His response, "Why? We don't even pay for water." Shut down. Story number 4. Me. "I think you're really cute and I like you a lot." His response, Thanks?" Accepting this unrequited crush, I decided I was happy just being friends with him. 3 months down the line, he spent hours comforting me after a disastrous night, and then finally confessed he had feelings for me, going back 6 months. When I asked why he didn't say anything when I told him my feelings, "But I wasn't sure you liked me." But that was 4 years ago. He's still as cute and dense now, and is fast asleep next to me. Story number 5. Okay, so I've actually had with a girl before, realizing she was actually into me. She knocks on my dorm room door wearing a mini skirt and carrying a chocolate cake, like a whole chocolate cake. And she says she just baked it and was wondering if I'd like to try some. I tell her that I'm not a big fan of chocolate, crushing her, but was intelligent enough to add that I'd like to try it anyway. We set the cake aside. I invite her in and she asks me what I'm up to. I tell her the truth, that I was about to start watching V for Vendetta. And she squeals that she loves that movie and she asks if she can watch it with me. We lay down on my unfold futon and start watching it together under the blanket. This was in the dead of Boston winter. We're watching the movie and she starts making all these comments about Hugo Weaving. "I love Hugo Weaving so much. God, Hugo Weaving is so hot. Man, Hugo Weaving makes me so horny." And all this time I'm like, "Yeah, he's a great actor. I loved him in The Matrix." Maybe 20 minutes pass by and all of a sudden I feel her rubbing up against me and she's, touching herself. "Sorry, I hope you don't mind. I just got really horny and couldn't help myself." And here I am thinking I'm the luckiest dope in the world, and I'm so glad I picked a movie that had Hugo Weaving in it. Of course I had to say something like, that's okay. I understand. I have actresses that really do that for me too. And I do absolutely nothing because I still don't get what she's coming on to me. Another 10 minutes pass before she turns to me and asks, "Can I suck your you-know-what?" And my mind, very underdeveloped, pathetic mind, my very first thoughts were, Hugo Weaving is such a great wingman, and damn, talk about being in the right place at the right time. It took me another year before I realized that it was all a ruse to get me, and I could have been watching any damn movie the whole time with more or less the same result. Story number 6. My fiance and I were chatting on Facebook Messenger near the start of our relationship, and it went something like this. Him: "I haven't had sex in 2 years." Me: "That's quite a streak. I'd hate to mess that up," winky face. Him: "Yeah, it's been a while." Wait, what? I then lured him into a hotel, had some very good intercourse with him, and now we're getting married. Story number 7. I'm a guy. I'll tell you why hints are BS. This was many years ago. In college, a friend of one of my roommates, had 4 roommates in a big apartment, was going to stay over. Proceeded to flirt with me on the deck and started a conversation about her favorite sex positions. What do I do? Put my hand on her thigh to continue where I thought this was obviously going? Didn't go anywhere and went to sleep. Next morning, my roommate says that she, the friend, had to sleep in her room with the door locked because she was afraid I would in the night solely because I put my hand on her thigh as she described her favorite sex positions to me. What? Like, no. That's not what I was thinking. Story number 8. One time a girl in a group of friends flirted with me incredibly blatantly all night. She was a friend of a friend who tagged along that night. She's flirting with me so obviously that people are starting to get uncomfortable and are looking at me annoyed, and my friends are asking why I haven't made a move yet. The entire friend group comes back to my place, a studio apartment, for a few drinks and games. At the end of the night, everyone leaves but her. At this point, she's running her feet up my leg and grabbing my thigh. A few minutes later, without invitation, she crawls into the bed with me and places her hand on my shoulder. I lean in for a kiss. She places both hands on my chest and says, "Whoa, I don't want to hook up with you or anything. I'm sorry I gave you the wrong impression." I apologized and went to sleep, but good lord, like what was that? Story number 9. Hitting on my now boyfriend of 3 years. I was complimenting him on how handsome he was and how he had beautiful eyes. I wanted a closer view of them, so he texted me this creepy ass shot of his eyeball with his eye widely open as possible. He legitimately thought that's what I wanted. After our first date, I immediately started talking about the potential future dates and how much fun I had with him. I stayed out so late that night, I missed my friend's party. However, because I didn't hug him properly and asked to split the cost of the meal, he thought I wasn't actually interested. Story number 10. When I was in senior high school during prom season, there was a girl in most of the classes I was attending. We were good friends. We had much in common. We were both top of our class. Also, I thought she was cute. One day, she and her friend approaches me during lunch. Girl, hey, don't you want to ask me something, while raising her eyebrows? Me, I don't know, like what? She and her friend end up giving each other a weird look. Girl, are you going to prom? Me, I'm not sure. I don't really have anyone to go with. End scene. I didn't get the hint until years after, but I did end up going to prom with the fellas. Yeah, I'm a fool. Story number 11. Fellow fool here. I was a nerd in high school before nerds were cool. 1988. But I was lab partners with the two most popular girls in the school. One was the cheerleader captain and the other was the SGA VP. They were both gorgeous. Despite my nerd status, they found me interesting. At the end of senior year, prom conversations started, but I was not going. I didn't have a girlfriend and only had a couple dates in high school. And honestly, the easiest way to avoid all that BS was just simply not to go. Then they cornered me. "Who are you taking to prom?" they asked. "No one, I'm not going." Them. "What? You have to go. Everyone's going." I said, "Nah, it's not my thing. Besides, who would I go with?" They replied, "You should ask Janelle, the other cheerleader captain who recently broke up with her boyfriend." I said, What? She would never go with me." To which they replied, "Oh, I bet she would if you asked her." Me, "No way." Them, "You have to." Me, "Nope." End scene. What I didn't realize at the time was that girls operate differently from boys. This wasn't some random conversation. There was no betting on their part. This was all planned with Janelle's blessing. This was the 3 most popular girls in the school plotting to get me, a nerd, to ask one of them to prom. And I didn't even realize it. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, did not. Story number 12. Okay, at 17 I met this girl and she said to come over. Let's hang out. It's 2 a.m. We hang out near her house, and at 3 a.m. she's like, "Let's go upstairs and have some coffee." I said, "No, I'm good. I'm tired. This was fun. Let's do it again, okay?" And I just left. She never responded to me again. At 31, I was at dinner with a few friends and they were talking about how we missed signals. I started to laugh again and it hit me. Oh my god, she wanted to go upstairs and have sex with me. Story number 13. I'm a guy and I've told this story before, but I must again to make clear how obvious we are. I met this girl through my female best friend. Her and I became friends due to our mutual love of movies. She's come by most evenings and we chill, smoke a blunt, and we'd watch foreign films or, catch some underground cult classics. She'd often stay well into the night and sleep over, often in my room with me. This went on for a long time, and then one day she just disappeared. Caught me off of Facebook and everything, just gone. I knew I did nothing, so I figured a big life change went on. Flash forward a few years, and I'm on the phone with my best friend and make some joke about Netflix and chill to her. She says, "That's what blank spent months trying to do with you? I swear I didn't know in the moment, and that's the worst part. I was head over heels for this girl. Story number 14. After a conversation with my boyfriend about not being obvious enough when trying to initiate sex, I decided to entice him by posing naked on the corner of the bed and seductively whispering, "Hey you," as he walked in the room. His reaction? He walks in the room, gives me a bro nod, and says, "Hey babe, I gotta poop." Yeah, we did not end up having sex that night. Story number 15. One time I was texting my boyfriend and told him that I bought a vibrator for the nights he was away at work or something like that. His exact response was, "Oh, like cool, what color?" I sent him a pic of it and he replied with, "Can you put it up your butt too?" I sent him a text replying, "Come over and find out." And he replied 2 minutes later, "Never mind, I just Googled it." Story number 16. Not a lady, but I had this girl visit me and sleep with me in the same bed on 4 different occasions from half across the country. I thought we were just friends. 10 years later, it just dawned on me that she didn't travel across the country just to sleep. I feel bad for the girl now because I was really into her. Story number 17. One day, shortly before my husband returned home from work, I stripped down and put on one of his button-up shirts, jumped into bed, sat all sexy, and waited for him to get home. He gets home and walks into the bedroom. Boom! Naked wife with her boobs hanging out of your shirt. I thought I was being obvious. Nope. He lays in bed next to me, talks about his day, and looks to be getting ready for a nap. I thought, oh, well, maybe he's super tired. I'll catch him after his nap. I jump out of bed, put on some pants, put on a shirt, go down the hallway to fold some laundry. Not but a couple minutes later, my husband comes running down the hallway before coming to his screeching halt in front of me. He's doing his best to be smooth with a hint of awkward. He didn't realize I was trying to initiate having sexy time. He pulled out all of his best moves and dragged me back into the bedroom. And you know the rest. Story number 18. Back in college, my now significant other of 4 years would walk me home from class at night. Mustered up the courage to ask him to come upstairs and have some wine with me. Hard no. Okay, he's not into it. 2 months later, he invites me and my friends to a party. He's blackout drunk when we show up and tells my friend that he's in love with me and got wasted because he was nervous about seeing me. She convinces him to tell me, knowing I was also into him. Curveball. He told me that he was really into me, but didn't want to mess up my relationship. What relationship? You know, that guy from our class that you always talk to and giggle with? Matt? As in Matt with the boyfriend? Matt? Oh, well, that strangely explains a lot. Story number 19. My ex-boyfriend was pretty reserved and had limited experience with girls when I first met him. It took forever for it to click with him that I was actually into him. I would convince him to sleep over at my place or let me sleep at his to snuggle. I would wear nothing but a t-shirt and panties. I would literally press my body up against his and talk to him with our faces inches apart. I would whisper in his ear and rest my hand on his thigh an inch away from his package. It took over a month of this before he realized I wasn't just trying to be friendly. Story number 20. Last summer, I was doing my best to seduce who is now my current boyfriend. We were going swimming at a friend's house, and while they were changing into their bathing suits in the house, me and him make our way to the pool. I take advantage of this moment to strip in front of him, as sensual as possible. The bathing suit was underneath my clothes. He runs right past me, full sprint, and just cannonballs right into the pool. Story number 21. I went to this girl's house and we were just hanging out in her basement. She took out her laptop and was like, "Let's check out my Tumblr." And I was like, "All right, let's do it." So she set the laptop on the ground and I laid down right in front of it. And she straddled me from behind and laid down on me. She scrolls through her Tumblr and it's all sexual gifs and images. And she keeps saying, "Oh, I want to do this and I want to do that." After like 30 minutes of this, she went to drive me home, and as she dropped me off, she told me that she thought I was gay. Story number 22. When me and my fiance were in high school, we were just best friends, which of course meant I was too big of a chicken to tell him how I really felt. Well, my move was to always take the seat in front of him and purposefully have my thong showing while we had lectures. This went on for all the classes we had together, and we had a lot. I finally had to confess how I felt about him before he left our hometown for college after 3 years of this game. It turns out he was a chicken too. He said those 4 years were the biggest tease imaginable. I mean, like, it's hilarious to talk about now. Story number 23. I knew this girl for a year and kind of had feelings for her the whole time. We got close for a few weeks, and one time I'm watching some films at hers. It gets late and I start to head out. She says, I don't want you to go. Thinking she was just feeling lonely or whatever, I follow her upstairs and we get into bed and do nothing. Lights out. We just go to sleep. I'm sitting there the whole time thinking, damn, I wish I had the balls to make a move, but I don't. Then she sits up, takes her top off in a way I couldn't possibly miss, and lies down again. Still, I don't get that she's trying to make the move on me. 10 minutes later, she finally gives up and just kisses me. She mocked me about this for months after. Story number 24. I look back on it now and see how I totally missed the hint. In college, a girl in my class came over to study, and when it got late, she ended up wanting to stay. I had a couch in my room and she said she could sleep on the couch. Then she says this when I'm getting ready for bed. I usually have a hard time falling asleep. Do you want to, lay down together and watch Netflix with me? I replied, nah, I got a test tomorrow. But listen, hey, I got an A on that test, okay? Christina, if you're out there, I'm not gay, I'm just oblivious to hints. Story number 25. Back when my boyfriend and I were just friends, there was a night I spent at his apartment after hanging out all day. I was going to sleep on the couch, but I managed to talk my way into his bedroom. To get myself into his room, I think I said his roommates or his neighbors were too loud. He got back up to get me a pillow and blanket so I could sleep on his floor. I had taken off my bra and had asked to borrow his sweater at this point. After a while, I joked that he was hogging all the blankets up on his bed. Then he finally invited me up. So then I said I couldn't sleep and suggested we stay up together and watch a movie. You know, Netflix and chill. I had just read an Ask Reddit thread that Jurassic Park was a good date movie, so I suggested we watch it on his phone, without mentioning the date movie part. I was beyond nervous at this point. So we're in his bed, he's holding the phone above our eyes, and I decide to lean against his shoulder and slowly begin the process of inching closer to him. We laid there all night, curled up, yet barely touching, neither of us breaking the spell for so much as a peck on the cheek. We then just fell asleep. He wouldn't end up asking me out until about 5 months later. We reenacted this scene on a hotel bed after sneaking a bottle of wine from his office Christmas party. This time, I decided to stop being so shy. After a few sips of white wine, I finally felt brave. I looked up into his eyes and kissed him. Later that night, we admitted that our mutual hesitation during the first night was due to nerves from not wanting to risk our friendship for a one-night stand. The only potential problem in us jumping into a relationship was our distance, because we were living almost 2 hours away from each other. So, less than a week after that, I took the bus down to stay for another night. I told him I loved him and that we should try to be together anyway. And you know what? Now we've been together ever since, and we're moving in together in a few weeks. Story number 26. I had basically moved in with him because his ex had basically moved herself into my apartment, and I kept coming home from work to find random guys from Tinder she was sleeping with there. Long story. Anyway, I was at his house all the time and went from sleeping on the couch to sleeping in his room on the extra mattress, to then sleeping in his bed cuddling with him, and I was entirely naked and rubbing myself against him for several nights before anything happened. Listen, we're married now, so it worked out for me, but yeah. Story number 27. Two come to mind. Once a guy complimented me on my perfume and said something like, "You smell nice. Is it Victoria's Secret?" And I said, "It's not from Victoria's Secret, but I have something from Victoria's Secret I can show you." He said, "What?" Like, not a sexy what, like a genuinely confused what. My other one was that there was an almost one night stand. Unfortunately, the night ended, but we both explicitly said that we wanted sex. So he hits me up for a booty call, but I had just gotten a tattoo and told him that I want to wait a day or two because I just got it. He said, "Where?" I said, "You'll need to come find out another time later this week." And he said, "Why can't you just tell me where it is?" Like, sorry, man, I'm trying to be mysterious and trying to get you feeling something.